Imagine waking up to a sunrise over thousands of acres you own, where your only neighbors are the horizon and a legacy of grazing cattle. It feels like the ultimate American dream of freedom and self-reliance, but the reality is that a ranch is a high-stakes, low-margin industrial site where the most powerful variable in your financial equation, the weather, answers to no one. The first thing a listing agent won't tell you is that the agricultural value of the land and its real estate price have completely decoupled in the modern market. While you can find acreage in Wyoming for $1,000 an acre, the moment you move toward a resort town or a wealthy suburb, that price can skyrocket to $50,000 for the exact same dirt. The bargain land is often the most expensive to run because sparse grass means each cow needs 30 acres to survive, forcing you to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on supplemental hay during 5-month winters. Once you close the deal, you don't just own a ranch. You own a raw property that requires a massive, non-optional infrastructure buy-in before you can even think about profit. A standard perimeter fence can cost over $10,000 per mile, meaning a large property can easily demand a 6-figure investment just to keep your assets from wandering away. You also have to engineer a hidden city of water wells, miles of underground piping, and heavy steel corral systems capable of handling 1,200-pound animals that have no interest in cooperating. By the time the ranch is operational, a new owner can easily spend $1 million on infrastructure that generates zero immediate return. Then comes the inventory, the cattle. In today's market, assembling a meaningful herd of 500 cows can cost upwards of $1.5 million. These are living, breathing assets that eat, get sick, and die without warning, and their value is dictated by global commodity cycles you cannot control. To maximize your revenue, you have to invest in high-end genetics, where a single bull with documented performance records can cost $50,000. The goal is to produce calves that gain weight faster and grade higher at the packing plant, as the difference between a choice and select grade steer can be the difference between profit and loss for the entire year. However, this entire livestock investment is a volatility trap, because your revenue arrives once a year in the fall, while your expenses, feed, labor, fuel, and veterinary bills arrive every single day. The operating math is where the romance of ranching usually dies. Between feed, labor, and equipment depreciation, it can cost over $1,000 a year just to maintain a single cow. On a well-run 500-cow operation, you might generate $1 million in gross revenue, but your total costs often sit between $900,000 and $1.1 million. In a good year, your return on investment might be a mere 1%, a figure lower than a basic savings account. If a drought hits or a late spring blizzard kills a percentage of your calf crop, those thin margins vanish instantly, forcing you to either buy expensive hay or sell off your production capacity at the bottom of the market. This is why the most successful modern ranchers have stopped thinking like protein farmers and started thinking like diversified land managers. They monetize everything the land produces, leasing hunting rights for $30 an acre, selling surplus hay to struggling neighbors, or operating guest ranches that charge $800 a night for the cowboy experience. The real secret to why billionaires like Jeff Bezos and John Malone continue to buy millions of acres of ranch land has almost nothing to do with cattle. They are playing a different game involving capital appreciation and sophisticated tax strategy. In states like Texas, running just a few cattle qualifies a multimillion-dollar property for an agricultural exemption, slashing property taxes to a fraction of their commercial value. Furthermore, the use of conservation easements allows owners to claim massive charitable deductions by permanently restricting development, effectively sheltering tens of millions of dollars in other income from federal taxes. For these owners, the ranch is a safe haven for wealth that appreciates reliably over decades, while providing a level of privacy and security that cannot be found anywhere else. The ultimate truth of the industry is that the cattle are simply the cover charge for the privilege of owning the land. The cattle operation barely break even, but if the land appreciates at 4% a year, it generates millions in equity while the livestock pays for the property's upkeep. Owning a ranch is a masterclass in patient wealth building where you must be comfortable being cash poor while being land rich. If you want to understand the hidden financial machines behind the world's most iconic industries, subscribe now and tell us which business we should deconstruct next.